A very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us tonight on the broadcast. You're watching KUTV News at 9. And at this time, let's take a look at stories making headlines tonight. Over 966,000 candidates continue with their KCSE national exams as the government warns against exam malpractice. Three candidates give birth during the exams in Narok and take their KCSE exams in hospital as one candidate passes away in Meru. President Ruto commends the judiciary for addressing national challenges as the Supreme Court celebrates 12 years of service. And in sports tonight, Sheila Chepkirui wins the Women's New York City Marathon, while Evans Chebet secures second place in the men's category.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Anyango, Sylvia.
That's right, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Sami Okelo. Remember, this broadcast is also coming to you live on YouTube at KUTV News Kenya, and you can engage with us on X at KUTV_Kenya at Anyango Sylvia KE. We begin. Now, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba has firmly warned against any attempts to compromise the integrity of the Kenya Certificate of Exams, which commence across the country today. 965,501 are expected to sit for the exam, which ends on 22nd of November. Cynthia Ochieng starts us up.
With a few exams like home science and computer science already being done, Monday, November 4th marked the official start of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE period. Across over 10,000 centers in nationwide, a total of approximately 1 million candidates began their exams, kicking off with English and chemistry papers. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba, while officially launching and supervising the distribution of KCSE papers, said that the multi-agency team is ready to aid in surveillance on social media platforms and sites suspected to engage in exam irregularities, further emphasizing that no electronic is to be allowed in the exam room.
In any examination center, when papers are in progress, is prohibited, and this must be adhered to without any exception. My ministry, through the Ministry of ICT and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, will ensure close monitoring. In addition, we are undertaking surveillance on social media and are already taking action against sites that are purporting to have access to examination papers.
The Principal Secretary for Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang, assured candidates of their safety, noting that the multi-agency put in place will aid in ensuring a credible exam process. Teachers Service Commission CEO Dr. Nancy Masharia urged that candidates be given a conducive environment for positive results.
Tiane kwa njia mzuri. Walimu wenzangu wametuhakikishia kwamba mwaka huu sisi wote tutafanya pamoja, ndio watoto wafanye mitihani na watupee ile wamejifunza kwa shule. Kwa hiyo miaka 4 wamekuwa shuleni bila mtu yeyote kuwasaidia ama kudanganya kwa mitihani.
In light of security concerns in areas like Tana River, candidates were moved to safe locations such as GSU camps for their exams. The ministry also confirmed that flood-affected individuals are receiving necessary care.
Doing fairly well in Lamu. More than any other time, this time we are delivering an exam without so much panic. In Lamu, in the North Rift, and this really is because of the multi-agency way that we have been dealing with it. Our colleagues have done quite a very good job from the security sector, and we urge all of us that we become positive, we communicate a positive message, so that even communities realize that there is need for them to be peaceful for the sake of their children.
Even as the exam continues, teachers have been sensitized not to drop their guard to ensure seamless examination. Watching Cynthia for KUTV News.
Still on KCSE, the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education kicked off today across all counties, with security measures taking lead to curb malpractices as the exam is rolled out. In the northeastern region, 6 aeroplanes were used to transport examination materials due to insecurity. Take a look at how the exercise was carried out across different counties.
Exam container opening kick-started today as the Kenya National Examination enters day 1. In Laikipia County, the process was headed by Laikipia Director of Education Reverend Francis Shikanda, who ensured smooth rollout and also called on center managers to adhere to rules and regulations for credible exams.
We have started off well this morning in all our containers. So far, so good. We have reminded our teachers, who are the center managers, of their core business and their core mandate, to ensure that the regulations governing exams this year, they are strictly adhered to, that we give credible exams.
All the necessary arrangements have been put in place, ensuring transport, ensuring security, and we hope that all will be well in our county.
A similar situation was witnessed in Migori, with 26,989 KCSE candidates expected to sit for the exam. The exam transportation was smooth. However, 5 candidates were forced to take their national examinations in various hospitals within the county.
Tuko na wanafunzi takriban 26,800 na 800 na kitu hapo, na tuko na containers 14. Kwa sasa hatuna chochote cha kuhofia. Askari ama officers wa usalama wamewekwa kwa kila kituo, kila center tuna askari wawili, na tuko na uhakika kwamba mtihani utaendelea vizuri.
Busia County Director of Education James Ekalio has given his assurance that there will be no room for exam malpractices, as the county has embraced multi-agency team in supervisory of the exam to slim the chances of exam leakage.
So when we get to schools, there are things we observe, like where are the forms, how many people are in school, did the exam start on time, and in case a student is supposed to be doing an exam in a police cell or in prison, we will not allow papers to be taken to the prison. That student will be escorted right to the school by the security officer. He will take the exam there. We are doing so that we don't allow any gaps of exams of papers flying up and down.
In northeastern region, exams were transported through choppers due to insecurity and bad roads in the area, and as per the Director for Education, Andan Robol, no charges have been reported so far, and that the expectation is that everything will run smoothly.
We also have 6 choppers, 2 in Mandera, 2 in Ujia, and 2 in Dar es Salaam, to assist in areas to fair exams, which are areas which are far from the main distribution center.
The national examination continues tomorrow, as the Ministry of Education assures parents and students of steadfast measures to curb exam malpractices. Dennis Munyi, KUTV.
Now, 3 girls in Narok County are sitting for the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE in hospital after they gave birth a few hours to the onset of the exam. Narok County Education Director Apollo Apuko confirmed the girls are in good condition and are sitting for the exams under tight supervision, just like their colleagues in school. In Meru, 2 girls also sat for the exams in hospital after delivering, with 1 male candidate reported dead. A number of prisoners are also sitting for the exams in different prisons across the country. Now let's move away from education matters as the Supreme Court celebrates 12 years since its establishment. President William Ruto has acknowledged that it will be unduly pessimistic to overlook the Supreme Court's clear efforts to interpret the Constitution with wisdom, terming it as essential in addressing the complex challenges of national and public matters. Listen in.
Under the theme introspecting and reflecting on Supreme Court's jurisprudence, today marks exactly 12 years since the Supreme Court was established. President William Ruto termed the 12-year development as expansive, meaningful, and authoritative, adding that it has guided the judiciary in orienting the national ideology and resisted the temptation to compromise Kenya's values.
The Supreme Court, therefore, serves a powerful symbolic role as the highest representation of the values and institutions of justice in our land, and the fulfillment of people's determined quest for a judiciary grounded in inclusivity.
The president also reflected on the 2007 presidential crisis before the establishment of the Supreme Court, saying it will be excessively negative to ignore the Supreme Court's obvious attempts to wisely interpret the Constitution.
We must revisit the hard lessons of the 2007 presidential election crisis. That crisis exposed deep-seated systemic failures and a profound erosion of public trust in our electoral and judicial processes, fracturing the people's trust in the rule of law.
According to the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, it would be unfair for any assessor to fault the performance of the Supreme Court, urging it to improve towards having a modern physical infrastructure.
In the short time the Supreme Court of Kenya has existed, the jurisprudence has been quite groundbreaking, and on that front I think it will be unfair for any assessor to actually fault the performance of the Supreme Court.
The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Kenya, Martha Koome, has said that through hearing and determining for presidential election petitions over the last 3 election cycles, the court has set critical benchmarks for conducting free, fair, and transparent elections, therefore playing a transformative role in shaping the country's socio-political development.
The court's jurisprudence has strengthened the democratic foundations of governance and harmonizing the judiciary's benchmark on the areas of public participation that still requires parliamentary action.
Kenyans are therefore looking forward to the court keeping its promise of granting democracy and justice, as every decision made impacts not only today's Kenya but also its future. Emma Mwangi, KUTV.
Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Musalia Mudavadi participated in the launch of the Uhai wa Mama na Mtoto Project National Obstetrics Point of Care Ultrasound or POCUS guidelines in Nairobi County. Mudavadi highlighted the critical role of these newly developed guidelines in supporting the government's ongoing commitment to enhancing antenatal care and reducing maternal and neonatal morbidity and mortality rates. These guidelines empower nurses, midwives, clinical officers, and other reproductive health professionals to share responsibilities in conducting obstetrical ultrasound screenings aligned with the World Health Organization standards in Nairobi.
Maternal mortality remains a major global challenge, including here in Kenya. Despite progress, achieving our goals for newborn and maternal health requires innovations.
Linda Mamba, the package has been enhanced to ensure that mothers and children can be able to access the best healthcare services.
To join you for this momentous occasion for the Uhai wa Mama na Mtoto Project, National Obstetrics Point of Care Ultrasound Guidelines.
Now that story takes us to a very fast break on the broadcast tonight. Don't go far, we'll be back with more stories. Welcome back. Remember to keep engaging with us on our social media platforms. That is on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Anyango Sylvia KE. Now, a section of leaders from Kirinyaga County have reaffirmed for President William Ruto and his deputy Kithure Kindiki, and now asking President Ruto to continue Mount Kenya region. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's brigade continue to change their motive after Kindiki's swearing. Days after former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was impeached from office, the Mount Kenya region has remained calm, with the political heat witnessed during Gachagua's impeachment process unexpectedly cooling down. Perhaps contrary to expectations, leaders from Mount Kenya region seem to be sticking solid in the Kenya Kwanza government as they move on with life without Rigathi Gachagua. Over the weekend, Nyeri Governor Mutahi Kahiga and Gachagua's right-hand man revealed that the ousted deputy president has accepted his fate. This comes after a section of politicians from the Mount Kenya region endorsed him to succeed Gachagua as the region's kingpin. Kirinyaga Women Representative Jen Jerry has urged the former deputy president to collaborate with other leaders, including Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, to mentor young leaders and bring about a new political awakening in the country. Gachagua's fate is now on the rope as he awaits the final court ruling, which, if it happens to uphold his impeachment, he shall never hold public office. Leaders from Kirinyaga County, led by Kirinyaga County Assembly Speaker Muteti Murimi, has announced their support for Deputy President Kithure Kindiki and are now requesting President William Ruto to continue with the development projects in the region. The leaders from the Mount Kenya region have pitied Gachagua's impeachment, saying that he was easily ousted from the government for recklessly entering into a political agreement with President Ruto without having a political party.
Wanajua the former deputy president ni rafiki wetu. Wanajua huyu deputy president ambayo amekuja pia ni rafiki yetu. Sisi hatuko na jambo lolote na hao watu. Ni rais mwenyewe aliona ni vizuri achague huyo ametoka, na rais mwenyewe ndio ameona ni vizuri alete huyo ambayo ako sasa.
Mimi nataka kuwaomba tushikilie hii serikali, tuhakikishe and I request our parliamentarian to be good oversighters, to make sure that whichever project, whichever promise it is to be fulfilled. Ajira our new deputy president nimkaribisha hapa Kirinyaga tuweze kumuonyesha ile miswada ile project tumeanza na serikali ya tungetaka atuhakikishe ya kwamba by 2027 wirosho ndio hotete kulika.
Anyango Sylvia, KUTV. Now that story was produced by our very own Blue Smile Hussein. In a bid to enroll more youths into Technical and Vocational Training Institute, National Administration government officers have kicked off door-to-door campaign to encourage students to join technical school. Gichugu Technical and Vocational Training Institute management has partnered with chiefs and assistant chiefs to help in registering more youth to join the TVETs for technical courses.
In a move to increase the number of youths in Technical and Vocational Institute, Gichugu Technical Training Institute Management has partnered with chiefs and assistant chiefs to help in registering more youths to join the TVETs for technical courses. The school principal, Joseph Kimemia, says that the initiative is aimed at registering more youth to take up technical courses in the new established institute, which currently has 275 students.
We are targeting 2,500 trainees. The reason is because first, we are working with the ones who have already graduated. We as community leaders, we are not forgetting that there are young people who are set to sit for assessment any time from now.
Ngariama West Senior Chief Mushiri added that the chief will go door to door and also in churches to call on youth to enroll with technical courses which are so beneficial as their country struggle with unemployment among the youths.
Already tuko na wanafunzi 270 na tunataka hao wengine ambao wako huko nje.
According to the management, the institution will also play a critical role in the fight against illicit brew and drug abuse for youth will be engaged in their studies. Rukia Hussein, KUTV.
Now let's shift gears to news across our borders, where Americans will vote Tuesday to elect a new president. But the race between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump is so tight that their teams are on alert for the legal battles that might ensue to define the election's outcome. VOA's Veronica Balderas Iglesias explains.
Earlier this year, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump told several media outlets that if the results of the November 5th presidential election are, quote, honest, fair, and free, he would accept them. Election officials are confident the voting process will be fair, secure, and transparent. But the former president has increasingly voiced concern about his opponents possibly committing fraud.
If we can keep that cheating down, because they're a bunch of cheats, if we can keep that cheating down, we're going to have a tremendous victory.
Tonight with election during an interview that aired last month on NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, Vice President Kamala Harris told NBC News anchor Hallie Jackson that her team will be ready to go if Trump loses and attempts to subvert the election.
We will deal with election night and the days after as they come, and we have the resources and the expertise and the focus on that as well.
The Republican National Committee has in place a so-called election integrity program in battleground states. Its lawyers have filed more than 100 lawsuits over perceived voting rules irregularities, but many have been shut down in court. Democrats have launched their own legal efforts, including suing to prevent potential delays in the certification of Georgia's state election results. In tight presidential races such as this year's, legal battles are expected. Most of them will be fought in swing states, analysts predict.
At the polling place, we often see contests over whether or not ballots are being handled properly. In the post-election day period, there are disputes about whether or not individual voters are actually eligible and whether their provisional ballots should be cast and counted.
Anyone who claims fraud, however, must present proof, legal experts warn.
Lawyers, be careful what you allege. Make sure that you can prove it. Otherwise, they may be subject to discipline, as we've seen growing out of the 2020 challenges.
Trump's former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, for instance, was disbarred for spreading baseless claims that the 2020 election was stolen. The legal battles could delay the outcome of the presidential election. But if on Tuesday night the results are clearly in favor of one presidential nominee over another by some noteworthy margin, analysts say it will be much harder for the opposing party to contest those results. Veronica Balderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
We're taking yet again another short break. We'll be back with sports. Welcome back. In sports tonight, Kenyan Sheila Chepkirui won the 2024 New York City Marathon in 2 hours, 24 minutes and 35 seconds, holding off 2024 Olympic bronze winner Helen Obiri. Obiri, the race favorite, who had stated in the days leading up to the race that she was aiming for the track record of 2 hours, 22 minutes and 31 seconds, set in 203, finished second in 2 hours, 24 minutes and 49 seconds, with 41-year-old Vivian Cheruiyot rounding out the podium in 2 hours, 25 minutes and 21 seconds. After failing to defend his championship at the 2023 New York City Marathon due to a minor injury, Evans Chebet finished second in 2 hours, 7 minutes and 45 seconds, while Abdi Nageye won in 2 hours, 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Albert Korir rounded the podium in 2 hours and 8 minutes. Now that is it from us tonight. Thank you so much for choosing KUTV and for staying with KUTV this far. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Sami Okelo and Anyango Sylvia. Have a good night.